You press the button on your tablet, and, as if through a mist, the screen flickers to life like a dream, and you see King Maxwell Silverhand. You don't know how you know some of this knowledge, but it seems as though you're seeing him again. He appears standing next to the empty throne of High King David Ardry ap Gwydion. There is a slight cobweb that you see, and it seems to have expanded, although you're not sure from what, because you've never seen or been in this place before. And the throne is covered in silken strands. A solid layer of dust lays upon the high throne, concealing the intricate and colorful woodwork in an unyielding gray. Maxwell himself is not as unreadable as perhaps he once was, and for the first time in a long time his eyes seem to hold a glint of purpose, though mixed with it is a deep and overriding sorrow. 2 knights of the Red Branch stand beside and slightly behind him, and their expressions almost mirror his own. Maxwell seems to pause for a moment as he fades into view, almost as if, unthinkable as it is, he does not know what to say, or perhaps simply how to begin. We have spent much time traveling of late. Both Princess Morwen and ourselves have spoken with each of your rulers, with each of the kings and queens of this continent. Their concerns have been similar, though their solutions conflict. Yet we have come to an understanding and an acceptance. It should be no news to you that High King David, he who brought peace to a decade of war, he who earned the loyalty of thousands of his kind, he who was the very heart, mind, and soul of Concordia. As he speaks that word for the first time, his voice falters for a moment, but he continues on strongly. Has been missing for too long. With such a passage of time, it becomes more and more difficult to realistically hope for his return. He pauses briefly, then continues. We have no choice at this point but to assume that he will not be returning to us. He leaves a moment to allow reactions to his words. It is said that the king and his land are bound to each other, that harm to one does harm to the other, and that when one flourishes, the other prospers. Those who have ruled truly and justly may well understand the truth behind this tale. But even more than a king to his kingdom, David was Concordia. He built our high kingdom with his own hands, and his own heart, and with his own sword. And in the past months, I have truly come to understand exactly how much Concordia was bound to him, and he to her. You have already heard the announcement of the disbanding of Parliament, so perhaps some of you will have foreseen this as well. Concordia is no more. For many months she has been held together with only sweat, blood, and tears. But with each day this throne remains empty. She has died a little more. I can no longer stand here and watch her fade away. No longer see good people die for a dream that has changed. We have already spoken with your kings and queens, and they are, mostly, in agreement with this decision. For the time being, until David returns, or his successor is chosen, they are all released from their fealty to the high throne. Each kingdom shall hold its own lands. Each king or queen shall truly rule his or her country. We can no longer hold them together against their will, and without David, it is their will to part ways, for a time. With this, he begins walking towards you, away from the throne. As he does so, the cobwebs seem to imperceptibly thicken, slowly but pervasively, until the throne is coated with a cocoon within their silken folds. Maxwell strides out of the royal hall of Tierna, and the great wooden doors, bound by bars made of both steel and other more esoteric substances, slam shut as he turns towards them and gestures. With a look of concentration, he closes his eyes and begins singing softly in what sounds like Gaelic, and sways back and forth. He raises his hands, and his silver left hand and human right hand both seem to make coaxing motions at the door as he sings, almost as if they were working with a piece of malleable metal. As he does so, the steel bars begin to warp and change, seeming to flow across the surface of the door. They combine themselves into a liquid whole which flashes brightly for a moment and then solidifies into a solid sheet of unknown metal, covering and completely blocking off the royal hall of Tierna. With that, Maxwell turns back to you. The slightest hint of liquid in his eyes does not mar the strength of his voice. We will maintain regency over those lands within what was once Concordia, yet do not fall within the boundaries of a king or queen, including the kingdom of the feathered snake, the fiefs of bright paradise, and Tierna itself. We shall hold Farok safe, and you see a sword flash at his side, within the great cities, where it will rest well guarded until the time is right for it to be brought forth, perhaps when one is chosen worthy by their own people to wield it and recreate the dream of unified kingdoms which once was. As some of you may be aware, the Knights of the Red Branch swore their loyalty to the High King himself, and thus are no longer honor-bound to serve the fated remnants of his dream. Yet still, many of them have chosen to stand with us, to aid the possibility of the re-emergence of the dream that was Concordia. Those Red Branch that have made this choice, we thank you. To those who wish to continue on their own paths, we wish you well. At this, the two Red Branch Knights who currently guard him seem to stand a bit straighter, if that were possible. It is obvious which category they fall into. To the rest of that which was Concordia, we offer our aid if it is needed, and suggest that you seek your neighbors as well. While we may have no High King to tie your fates together, still we are all of one people, and this is not a time that one can afford to ignore the needs of one's neighbor. As we have said, we will do all we can for each of you, and oft you may find other allies of ours at your aid as well. The dragons of steel and silver, and many of their metallic brethren, have pledged themselves to the aid of all Fae, against that which threatens us. They are powerful allies, quick to anger, but they are our friends, and their loyalty is true. Seek them out as well, if you truly have need. He pauses for a moment again, then continues in a stronger voice. For the first time in months, hope seems to take some presence in his tone. The house that David built is no more, but like a phoenix, what once was, will be again. Queen Morwen will speak to you all shortly on the formation of a new parliamentary body, one that each kingdom will participate in, only if they so wish. For each king or queen that believes Concordia was a good dream, and that a better one may follow, I urge you to send your representatives to this council. For each citizen of a kingdom who wishes to see their kingdom be a part of this new dream, let your ruler know. Now is the time for all to have a hand in our collective destiny. If the dreaming will not present us a High King, we will simply have to present one to the dreaming, and I would charge this new council with the responsibility of choosing one who should be eligible for a claimant on the empty high throne of Tierna. Concordia is no more, but upon its ashes will arise a new creature, young and vibrant, but only if we all act to nurture it and to help it grow will it become a thing of true beauty. Think on my words, I beg of you, and your hearts will guide you to what is right. With a slight nod of his head, the dream, the vision of Maxwell, and the halls of Tierna fade. His shoulders still straight, King Maxwell strides with his guards down the corridors of Tierna, stopping to give commands to knights, heralds, pages, and ambassadors, all of whom have a myriad of concerns and a million questions. The cacophony of noise fades as the message ends, and your tablet screen goes dark.